Welcome everyone to the Joel Martin Mastery Podcast. I'm a networking expert and the author of the upcoming book, No Strangers, How to Build Community, One Relationship at a Time. My why is the pursuit of mastery, and the goal of this podcast is to lock arms on a lifelong mission of daily personal growth to become the best version of ourselves. So let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of the podcast. We are joined by a meditation mentor, an author, a speaker, and the founder of Echo Movement. So welcome to the call, Mr. Wayne Mouland. Wayne, how you doing, brother? Are you enjoying the last 3 days of incredible weather? I'm assuming, knowing you, you're outside doing some good stuff.
Absolutely, brother. You nailed it for sure. Loving the weather here. It's been incredible, like you said. And we've been out there cleaning up areas in nature all over the GTA, from Niagara Falls to up north to Toronto, downtown, Mississauga, Brampton. We're just getting it started too. So it's been a wonderful few days.
That's amazing. So when you say we're getting things cleaned up, what exactly are you talking about?
Well, that is the Echo Movement Global Cleanups. Echo Movement is a meditation humanitarian group I founded a few years back, and two of the main things that we do is meditation, and the other is cleaning the planet. And we're out there doing Echo Movement Global Cleanups. We do Echo Movement Global Cleanups the first Sunday of every month, and we also do the Echo Movement Global Cleanup Challenge, which is pretty much like the Ice Bucket Challenge, except you don't have to get cold or wet for this one. All you have to do is see an opportunity to pick up some trash or litter in your neighborhood, in Mother Nature, in a parking lot, on the street. It doesn't matter where. Just making a difference, leading by example, and shifting the energy. See, this is the most important piece. Whether you're doing the Echo Movement Global Cleanup on the first Sunday of every month, or you're doing the challenge any day, anytime, anywhere on the planet, it's all about having a good energy while we do it. We're not holding that space of being upset that the glitter is there. We are just continuing to remain in the space of, exactly like I said earlier, of leading by example, making a difference, and shifting the energy. So this is why it's important to have a positive energy while we do it. Shifting the energy, knowing, feeling, believing that we, as all humanity, are coming together to live harmoniously with the planet, however beautiful that may look.
So you're doing some amazing things. You're a positive influence in the lives of others. You're making a difference, but things weren't always this way. I mean, you say yourself that back in the day you were a street gangster. So it's a long journey between a street gangster and the enlightened individual that you are today. Can you maybe dive into that history of how you go from that low to this high, and what that transition is like?
Well, you know what? I right away I have to always state that everything that we go through throughout our journey, especially through our adolescent, teenage years, in our 20s, 30s, it's all just setting the table for what we're going to eventually do. I'm going to state that right now, right off the bat. But I grew up in a beautiful home, wonderful parents, in a beautiful home in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Whitney Pier, to be exact, and great family, great community. We were in the rough area of town, if you will, and music at that time for us was very, very important, as it still is, and very can lead you down a certain path. Now, I always take full responsibility for the actions that I took, but I know that hip hop and rap music and whatnot did play a factor in the directing of the journey that I selected. However, it was that, the music, and being around people who were of similar mindsets and energy, didn't have any clue of any of that stuff back then. And it was all about the music. And there was always something inside me that didn't really resonate with society in general. I knew that there was something wrong. I could always feel that things weren't the way they should be in regards to many, many different things here on in our civilization of the earth as humanity. So I kind of rebelled a little bit from the system, if you will, being school or whatnot. I had this feeling that that wasn't for me. There was something fishy going on there, to say the least, if you will, in a lot of different aspects. So I kind of rebelled against the system, and leading myself into situations where I'm around that criminal element, energy, and like everything else, I became addicted to it, and it just became a part of who I was from a very young age. And moving forward, as I moved to Toronto, it escalated even further. And it's a funny thing, Joel, because I say this a lot. Uh, you know, we get what we ask for, and whatever we think, whatever energy we're giving off. Because I'll explain what I mean. When I was a criminal, when I was a violent person, into all those other things, everywhere I went, I would meet similar people. Now I go to the same places. I go to the same grocery stores, gas stations, wherever, in the parks. Doesn't matter where. It's all the same places, and I don't see them anymore. So I've eliminated that energy, from my vibration, and now my whole reality has just reflected a completely different picture. And that's where it was a long journey to get to that point of awareness. But like I said in the beginning of this, I certainly believe 100% that it took that journey, that experience, that different energy to go through that made me who I am today. Without that, I wouldn't be in this position. So looking back, I don't regret many decisions, although there's always going to be a few. I don't regret anything because it was ultimately what brought me here to this point, which I believe 100% is why I'm here. It's my purpose. And for years, I was living without purpose. And that can be one of the biggest, I'm going to call it a disease. It's a disease to be living without purpose. It will just lead you down pathways that you never even thought that you could even, walk down yourself. I know as a child, we all sit there and say, oh yeah, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor, a nurse, an astronaut. No one ever says, yeah, I want to be a thug. You know what I mean? No one ever says that. But that's what happens when you go down the wrong path, which in the end gets you to the right place. So that's it right there in a nutshell.
See, you now have a story, and it's a story that people can relate to. People go through hard times, and they can relate to that part of your story, and then they see the other side where you've come out as a better person and you're doing some good. So you know what, if you don't have the first half of the story, you don't really have a story, right? If everything has always been perfect for Wayne, that's not much of a story. So I think all of that serves you with your mission and what you're doing now. Was there a turning point where things just got so bad that it moved you in the other direction, or was it just gradual? Things started to change in a positive way, just moment to moment.
It was a combination of both. There were those humongously pivotal moments that occurred, which I can talk about briefly. But it was also, like you said, a gradual shifting as one would go through. As I would go through one thing, um, you always have to just let it sink in and kind of integrate into greatness, I like to say. But yeah, no, it would be what I would say would be that. What was the question again? I lost my train of
I
thought.
was just saying, was it just a moment that changed everything, or was it just a smooth transition? Things just got better, kind of step by step.
Well, I was living very unpresently to myself, and what was going on in my world, in my life. And I had three beautiful children, and I did back then as well. We're looking at about 13, 14 years ago, where I made my first initial transition from the criminal lifestyle was I was looking at doing like 12 to 15 years in prison. I had been to jail numerous times before, but never looking at that kind of serious time where I would be away from my children for years. Even though I was a little bit of a crazy person at that time, I was always still a good dad, and I was always there for my kids. And just having that feeling of how could I have allowed this to happen for my children. And that was the initial spark that lit the fire of, that lit up the dark room of, wait a minute, that's one thing. What the hell am I doing? This is not a life. This is a rap video or a thug movie. It doesn't make sense. It all came in very clearly, once. And I can tell you a short little story where it's a very powerful story that where while I'm waiting, going to back and forth to court, waiting for my trial in Supreme Court of Canada, I found myself in a holding cell with a few other guys, about 10 other inmates, all of us waiting to go to court. And there was this bald guy, big muscles, tattoos all over his face, neck everywhere, and he was just staring at me as I walked past, back and forth. And being a different person back then, I sat down next to him and I asked him, do we have a problem here today? What should I expect? How am I going to have to deal with you today? And he made me feel very small because I didn't notice that this big, muscular tattoos all over him. He had a small Bible in his hand. And he said to me, he said, look, he had pages folded over, and he said, I want you to read this. And I said, oh, well, I'm sorry I came at you like that, brother. So I sat down and I read it, and I don't know what verse or who it was, what chapter, what have you, in the Bible. I could just give you the gist of the story. There was an apostle, I believe, in prison, and the Holy Spirit came to him and said, as long as you, take care of your fellow brothers and sisters, walk with love, kindness, generosity, and, just make the right decisions, we will set you free. You will be set free. And I was very moved at that moment that in that space, you don't think that in that space where I was, that's what was going to happen. But that's what happened. And I began to pray, not being a big religious person. I'm religious, I call it, because I believe all religions, if it's about love, peace, and unity, I'm in, count me in. I call it religion. But I began to pray right there on the spot, asking God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, everyone. I called on everyone.
Whoever would listen.
Whoever would listen, if I could get out of this, that I would make a change in my life, and I would also change the lives of others. Now, when I said that, even after I said it in my prayer, I was kind of like, what does that mean? I didn't know what that meant or what it would look like or anything at that point. So, a year later of court and trial and this and that, I end up beating the case. So right from there, in that moment, when the judge said, I hereby grant these charges stayed, which at the time I thought they stayed and I was screwed. So that was a rough 10 seconds there. But, once I walked free from, the charges that day out of the courtroom and out of the courthouse, I knew right there that I had to keep my promise because I got my wish. So I must keep my promise of not hurting anyone anymore and just walking away from criminal lifestyle. And there were steps past that beyond the way because the only person that I was hurting after that moment was myself. And that was because I ended up becoming addicted to the same drugs I smuggled into the country for years, cocaine and a few other things like that. And that was the only person I was hurting after that was myself, which was another little period I had to go through to figure the next level out. So it was like levels. I received everything.
Sometimes the thing that you need most is found where you least want to look. And maybe in your case, it was in prison. That's where you actually found, that generous person that gave you the Bible and created that moment that changed things. So, they say, Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. So in that moment, you don't know, why you're in prison. It's a bad thing. But looking back, that's the moment that changed you. And it's a part of your story. And you actually wrote a book about your journey called Wayne's Echo. What inspired you to write that book? When did you release it? And maybe share a little bit about that.
You know what? That's a great question. Wayne's Echo, yes, from street gangster to meditation mentor. And it's never too late are the hashtag lines on the book. Because it's never too late. It doesn't matter when or what you're doing or whatever you did or what have you. You can change your life in an instant. And I'm very blessed because over the years of telling my story, many people would tell me, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book." I kept hearing that. And then I, met Karen Carrington from the Karen Carrington Show, and she was doing her book launch, and I helped mentor her write her book and get her through that space. And she was like, "You know what? I am not launching my book until you write one." And we launched our books together. So really, it was I owe Karen Carrington a lot for the book. I believe I probably would have written the book, but not when I did, and probably much later. But I wrote the book. I took 4 months, and that was a really tough process to rehash and relive and go back, because I started the book from my first, some of my first memories when I was 4 or 5 years old. So it's from there, my journey in Nova Scotia, my journey growing up, my journey coming to Toronto, and all of the darkness. And within all of the darkness, there are little beams of light that come out. And a lot of people who read the book always say, "You know what, Wayne, I didn't go through any of the stuff that you did. However, when I read about each thing that you did, there was something relatable that I overlooked as well." Right? So hindsight is always 20/20. But like you said, you can't connect the dots unless you look back. So, if you don't pay attention to the mistakes, you're just going to continue making them. But that was pretty much, it was Karen Carrington who really pushed me to write the book. And I just wanted to portray and give that exactly the same tagline on the book. It's never too late. It doesn't matter, again, what you've done, what you're doing. You can snap your fingers at any given moment and change your life and just make a choice. So that's really why I wrote the book. To again, like most of the reason why I do everything is to raise awareness of meditation, awareness of how powerful synchronized group meditations are, and cleaning the planet. It was Mother Earth who basically divinely allowed this message to come into my awareness. And right there, I have a lifelong, eternal obligation to take care of this planet. And I'm very, very passionate about it. As anyone who knows me, or if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or what have you, very passionate about it. It's my life mission to bring humanity together and to clean the planet and bring not just clarity for one and the other, but to bring the harmony for the two together combined. So that's my mission. That's my purpose. It took a long time, a long journey to get through it, to get to it. But see, once you get there, it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling.
Writing the book and having to relive everything, wasn't easy, but that was probably a part of the process of growing through that, like a form of therapy, being able to relive it and how did I get to that point? How did I get through it? You probably learned some lessons. So speaking of books, how important has personal growth been on your journey of transformation? Are there any books that you read that changed your life, or did you take any courses? What does this personal growth journey look like for you?
That is a really great question, brother. Now, to be honest, I can read. I'm a very good reader. Don't get it twisted. But I've only read one book in my whole life, and that was mine because I wrote it, and I had to read it a few times to edit it and stuff. I've only read one book in my whole life, and that's the book. Nothing against reading or anything like that. It just puts me to sleep every time. Audio books is probably my best bet. But yeah, no, I had two mentors really. Um, once I became, once I stepped out of the criminal lifestyle, I instantly was drawn to Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer, to me,
He's amazing.
yeah, unbelievable, incredible um, angel, human being, so aware and so humble, and just his message, his delivery, really hit me, really hit me. And he was, I can say, that my biggest mentor, because I quit school when I was 15 years old, didn't believe in it, and I always still tell everyone that I have two master's degrees. I have a master's degree in the University of Life, and I also have a master's degree at the University of YNG, and that's YouTube and Google. And that's how I found Wayne Dyer. That's how I found meditation through a YouTube advertisement one day, and started, getting into meditation and wanting to learn everything about it. So amazed by it, and also shocked that we weren't taught these things as children in school. I was very, I'm going to be honest, angry when I first found out about all these things and realized, wait a minute, this was not in any of the curriculum that I did in school. So these are the most important things to know. So that was one thing right there for sure.
Wayne Dyer is awesome. You see all the books behind me. I got about 5 or 6 Wayne Dyer books.
It's awesome.
He's pretty awesome. So you mentioned that growing up you loved rap music, that you did some rap. So I've actually seen a video of yours. You're partnered up with Marcos Mendoza, who's actually confirmed as one of our guests on the next few episodes. He's amazing. You guys have a video together that has kind of gone viral. I've seen there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. How did that come together? Are you still doing a lot of rap or a lot of music, or it was just one amazing project that you couldn't say no to?
No, that was guaranteed. That was something that was very intentfully done. We were, together, and I said, you know what, Marcos, we have to put together a theme song for Echo Movement, and I wanted it to be hip hop because, like I talked about it earlier, hip hop and rap music, and it kind of helped lead me in the wrong direction, and I was very aware of that, and I wanted to make a shift and an example that rap music, even the word rap, is rhythm and poetry. So I don't know where rhythm and poetry, I don't know where they injected gangster into that, but rhythm, poetry, and criminal activity doesn't even sound right, right? But anyways, that was the theme song for Echo Movement. We were very intentional when we created that, when we selected the music. Very intentional, very even ceremonious we were with it. When we were writing the lyrics, when we were recording the lyrics, everything we did was very intentional. And we set the intention that this video, the lyrics, the music, everything about it was going to really, really affect people in a beautiful way by opening their heart and their minds up to endless possibilities of positivity, love, and unity. And it's evident when anyone hears it for the first time. And I love so many of the reactions and responses that I've gotten from that song. People are moved. Some people to tears when they hear it for the first time. So the intention is very powerful. And again, the Echo Movement theme song is a great example of that. Anyone listening to this podcast, if you go to echomovement.ca, it's in the video section. It's Echo, Marcos Mendoza, and Wayne Mouland, yours truly. And just to see, if you haven't heard it yet and seen it, just take a sample of how you're feeling before you watch it, and then take a sample of how you're feeling after you watch it. And
If you're loving it, make sure to share it as well. Get it out there on Facebook and your other social media sites to spread some positivity. Now, during the last two and a half months. We've got COVID going on. People have been in self-isolation. It's really affected a lot of businesses. Has it had an effect on your business, and how have you maybe adapted to, the online world and the self-isolation?
Well, you know what? It hasn't been too bad for me, to be honest with you. Yes, a lot of different things, aren't doable anymore at this time. Events and getting out there and whatnot, networking and speaking events in schools and whatnot. There's none of that happening right now for sure. So, but there is always the alternatives. I was already into the online sector before it, just before that it came in. So it just made me focus more on that, kind of getting more done on that level, and giving some extra time also. Was doing a lot of work with Feed It Forward. We rescue food destined for landfills, repurpose it for homeless, less fortunate, and people in need, especially at this time of COVID-19. Anybody listening can go to feeditforward.ca and donate today. It's very important that we get as many donations as possible. We are servicing tens of thousands of people each and every week. It's amazing the amount of meals that we're cranking out every day. Frozen meals for everyone, and trailers. And we have another grocery store at 2770 Dundas West in Toronto in the Junction area. Pay what you can. If you can't pay, it's okay. Grocery store and cafe. So check that out. So that gave me more time to put a lot of time and effort into that, and then also into Echo Movement and into the cleanups and working on getting sponsorship from different businesses and companies to do cleanups in their areas and neighborhoods and communities, and to just work on getting people to join us on the Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, conversations and meditations, of which we should get you as a guest, Joel, one day on the show.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So that's what it has done for me. And this is a whole other show, really, for my opinion on this whole COVID-19 thing. There's just like, a lot of different things in society, or a lot of different things that we are injected, I like to call it, from the media and, the powers that be, the 1%, or what have you, all that fun stuff. There's some fishy stuff going on. And I always say to everyone who gets worried about all these conspiracy theories and things that are happening, I always say, look, and I smile, because I know I've been there. I've walked through hell to get to heaven. Right now, we may be walking through hell, but I can guarantee you right now, we're going to get to heaven. It doesn't matter what kind of conspiracy that maybe does have truth to it. I hear you, I understand. It doesn't matter, because the Almighty Source, Energy, God, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whatever you want to call it, is always 7 steps ahead. So it is always in my heart. I understand. I feel. I know that everything is a blessing, maybe in disguise, blessing nonetheless. That is going to shift things. It's going to open up people's minds. It's going to open up the reality of how there's a lot of things that aren't right here right now with humanity, economically, just socially, and it's time to make changes right now. This is the best time to do that. So I honestly believe COVID, and I say this very respectfully of anyone affected tremendously by it right now. But I do, like I said, I know some people don't want to hear that COVID-19, the situation is a blessing. I get it. I apologize to you for that. However, down the road, years later, I'm sure everyone will recognize and say, you know what? Yeah, this is what humanity really needed.
Do you think that the world is going to go back to normal, or do you think there's a new normal that is going to take place? And what do you see as the benefits that can come from this?
Okay, that's a great question. And like I said, this could be a whole other program, brother, because I could talk all day.
I hear you. There's a lot of news and sources and information and misinformation. It's hard to know exactly what's going on and if there are agendas. So I hear you. That could be a whole other episode, maybe to be continued at some point. Yeah.
I can give you a short thing of what I feel the blessings are going to be and what I see And it's just allowing everybody. It's becoming so blatant that fear is being used upon us like a weapon. Has been since the day one we've been created. Okay, um, a lot of people through this scenario because, like I said, it's not just a feeling of things that are a little fishy about any of this stuff. If you do your research and you go online and you hear all the other information and all the other things that are happening on the planet that the media does not tell you, um, those stories make more sense than what the media is telling you. Not just sensible in a thought process pattern, but more sensible in a feeling, a resonation. Okay, I think that a lot of people are waking up to the fact that a lot of the stuff that we've been fed is bullshit, and maybe time to turn your cheek to it and look at other other options, look in other directions, uh, think and feel in other directions, and it's also maybe enlightening people and making it very known right now that our economic structure and social system that we have is totally unfair, unjust, and totally a house of cards. If this little, you know, so-called a pandemic can, knock it over, it's not really that sturdy to begin with, right? And it's really opening our eyes to also is that the essential workers, right, are the least paid most of the time. So the whole economic structure and this whole thing about corporations and a handful of people holding all of the cash money, you know, in the on the planet, when there's people starving, when there's people like it just doesn't make any sense. It's not sensible, and we as a society we're so caught up in the hustle and bustle that it just went right over our heads because we're too busy worrying about ourselves and our own situation and our own little bubble. Now, with everybody having time and seeing the whole system crumble and fall to our feet, and people having a lot of time on their hands and a lot of YouTube time to go online and research stuff and everything else, a lot of the truths are coming to the surface here. And even with economic systems, Joel, what is money? What is money really when you think about it? People say yes, this and that. Money is energy. Yes, all that's true. But what is it? It's a piece of paper. Money is a piece of paper printed. Okay? It is also a number digitally entered into a system. That's it. That's it. There has got to be a better way for us to utilize money for all for one and one for all. Not all for 1,000 or 100,000 and 707, 7.7 billion people are left down here to pick up the scraps. No, I feel like the time is now for I don't want to say revolution. I'd rather just call it an evolution. But to some degree, it has to be a peaceful revolution where, you know what, people have to stand up and say, you know what, I'm not like this. This is not what I voted for. This is not what we want. Government is for the people, by the people. Right now, I say no, it's not. So I think that these are some of the things that are awakening in a lot of people, and a lot of people are speaking out more. A lot of people are thinking about it more rather than just accepting what has been for so long. So those are a few of the things, and also how how important is it for us to be together? To how much does people miss hugging? How much do you miss your family, your friends? That togetherness, that oneness. Divide and conquer, right? So, I'm not sure about all this isolation thing here, and there's also so many other medical and different opinions about how we should be building immune to it rather than isolating ourselves from it. So, like I said, there's so many things.
I can see that you could keep talking about it for the rest of the episode. I get it for sure. So a lot of this comes down to awareness of being aware of what's going on, taking inventory of your own life, what your dreams are, what your goals are, where you're at, how to move in the right direction. So a big part of awareness is being in the moment, and that's where meditation comes in, is living in the present, being in touch with how you feel and your thoughts and what you're thinking. So I wanted to have you on as a guest, as a meditation mentor. So there are a lot of people that are intrigued by meditation, but they've never done it. So I thought this would be great for me as a beginner to ask questions, and they're questions that a lot of our listeners are going to be thinking that they want answers to. So what is meditation for people that hear meditation? What exactly is meditation?
See, this is, as you can see probably from the look on my face.
You look a little happy to talk about
It's my
this.
favorite question you just asked me, brother. Thank you. Thank you. So meditation, I tell you right now, which I was in the same place myself one day where, I thought it to be much more difficult than what it really is. It's quieting the mind. Meditation is simply quieting the mind. That is basically all it is. And what comes from quieting the mind is everything else. So all you basically have to do is calm the mind. And for beginners, this is in my book as well. In the back of the book, I had to put it in there. Meditation for beginners. You don't have to be a meditator right away, right? You don't have to. Oh, did you see that? My phone dinged.
You just dinged with your fingers.
Unbelievable. But you don't have to be a superstar guru meditator. It's not going to happen overnight. And I wouldn't even call myself a guru meditator, right? That's for some next level Buddhist monks on a mountain somewhere. Those are the real gurus as far as I'm concerned. I had a guru who I consider a guru on the show this week, Michel Pascal. He's a meditation guru for sure. I just call myself a meditation mentor because it's what brought all these beautiful things into my life. So what I recommend to everybody beginning is starting off, you want to just be in a quieter space. We want you to, as you get better at meditating, attempt to meditate in any circumstances. Noise, this, that. But in the beginning, when you're first just getting your feet wet, if you will, find a quiet space. Turn off all distractions, television, cell phone, computers, what have you. If you're listening to your phone or music, put it on Do Not Disturb. For your meditation music, I recommend listening to guided meditations. Are great to get you started. That way, you don't have to think all about it. All you just do is lay back, sit back, and allow the person guiding the meditation to walk you through it.
Does it matter if you're sitting or lying down or on your knees? Does that matter, or just that you're comfortable?
It does and it doesn't. Okay, you can get a good flow of the meditation in any position as long as you're comfortable. Ultimately, the most optimum position is sitting up straight with your spine aligned, neck and head reaching for the ceiling, and just keeping your whole because your spinal cords is it's our battery that holds our life force, right? So keeping that straight, aligned, and perpendicular to the ground, sitting up against a wall, I find is much easier on the back, or up against the back of a couch or in front of your couch or what have you, and just take mindful, relaxing, soothing, deep breaths. That's the beginning of it. Now, what I always talk about as well is that, which was an issue for me as well too, where people tell me all the time, I can't not think of thought. And I get it. I totally understand. So this is what I tell people, and this is what I did as well. This is what I was taught. Instead of trying not to think of anything, because trying not to think of anything is a thought when you think about it, right?
Yeah, so, don't think about a pink elephant, right? And then
no, but this is the thing. You. But you say when you're trying not to think of anything, that within itself is a thought in your mind. Okay, I'm not thinking of anything. Right there, you're thinking of not thinking of anything. So I suggest pick one thing. It doesn't have to be a pink elephant, but it can be a pink elephant if you wish. But what that one thing that I want you to select to envision or to put your full attention on uh, would be something that brings love and joy into your heart already, right? A loved one, uh, an amazing moment in your life, your favorite place in nature, something that brings joy into your life.
Can it be a word or a mantra or something?
A
Or
word, mantra, anything where you're focusing on one thing only, right? That's the key, is just to be focusing on that one thought as you're focusing on your breath. So you're inhaling that thought and you're exhaling that thought. Eyes gently closed. Begin. And you only have to do this for 5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to sit there for an hour, 2 hours, 40 minutes even. Just to begin, to start off, just start off 5, 10 minutes. And this is the key, consistency. And that's the key for everything, really, right? The key is consistency. Put it in your schedule. Put it in your phone, put it in your daily schedule, put it in your weekly planner every day. Pick a convenient time. Any time is a good time to meditate. The best, real, like the most optimum time to meditate is, of course, when you're just waking up, because you're semi in between consciousness and unconsciousness, so you're more connected to your higher self at that moment. Just as if at nighttime, just before you go to sleep, same thing. You're in between. You're shifting in between conscious and unconscious, so you're more tapped in to the other realms, if you will.
do you
So,
think it actually helps you to sleep if you do it before bed because you don't have all these thoughts all night?
100%, 100%, 100%. I fall asleep the majority of the time I meditate. To be honest, it just puts me in such a relaxed state. When I'm see, this is, and everybody's different. We're all different. So being aware of myself and how I am, I set aside a little extra time just in case if I'm going to fall asleep, I'm not going to miss anything important. So, now that I've been doing this for years, and listening and speaking with other gurus like Bhante Saranapala, the urban Buddhist monk, or like I said, Michel Pascal. They have really taught me some other different things as well to add into what I've already been doing in my own practice. Uh, Always breathing in through the nose is the best, a good time. Can't mute the computer. Oh, sorry, there we go. Yeah, no, I really learned a lot from different people as well. Like I said, implementing it in. So, but to get back to the basics, find a quiet space. Just shut off all distractions. Get in a very comfortable position. Just begin to breathe naturally, deep breaths for like a minute until you feel your body begin to relax, your muscles begin to relax, any tension begin to leave your body. And that's when you know to just pick that one thought that brings joy and love and excitement even into your heart, and just put your focus on that and do that for about 5 minutes. Once you're focused on one thought, you only have one thought to clear your mind. And that is when you can use the meditation as your own virtual playground to be able to create, visualize, and manifest things into your life you never thought possible.
When I do guided meditations, a lot of times they say breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth. Uh, does it really matter if you're doing both in and out through your nose or both through your mouth or one in, one out? For me personally, I naturally breathe in and out through my nose. And when I meditate and I'm trying to do in through my nose and out through my mouth, I tend to have to think about it to breathe out through my mouth, which takes me away from the meditation where I'm okay, out through the mouth, out through the mouth. Whereas just naturally I can do in and out through the nose. Does it really matter, or
It's no, well, it doesn't. Well, it only matters to a certain degree, right? If meditation was this, that matters this much. It's going to give you that extra fullness of what you're going to receive from the meditation.
So if possible, out through the mouth.
If you can, whatever is most comfortable for people. That's a big thing too, and that's why I always say everybody's different. Everybody has their own little things. Like I like to listen to frequencies, solfeggio frequencies, while I
Yep.
meditate. I like to burn incense, essential oils, sage, Palo Santo. I like to use to get the senses involved as well. There are a lot of different things you can do, but whatever makes you the most comfortable. So it's best to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose to get that optimal, energy from it. But it can be done any other way as well, and you're still going to get a good enough benefit from it, 100%. Especially,
In the nose, out the mouth.
yes, whatever's more comfortable for the person, that is going to enhance it as well. The more comfortable you are, the more relaxed you're going to be able to be. So it's a huge part of it.
When you say listen to frequencies, is that just like a hum of a frequency, or is it like white noise? What are you listening to?
No, it's if you go on YouTube and you can Google any of these frequencies, like 528, 432, 428. There's so many, and they're just musical notes and sounds, right? Everything's a frequency, and the solfeggio frequencies are just frequencies that have been scientifically proven to tap in and to fuse with your energy to kind of give it an even line, to even things out, to just calm things down, to bring you to an equanimous state. That's my new favorite word.
That's a good word.
I
So I
love
give
it.
you credit. Yeah.
I love that word. Yeah, it's just to remain equanimous in any and all circumstances. That's what meditation is basically for: optimum health and optimum mental health. Just to be clear and relaxed makes all the difference in the world. And even speaking with Michel Pascal the other night, singing and chanting, like you said, mantras and what have you, very powerful. And frequencies. I'm just going to leave it at that. Do some research, because that's what changed my whole life. I started learning about these amazing things, and I researched it for myself. And anybody can tell you something, but when you research it for yourself and see it for yourself and start implementing it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
What would you say are the top benefits of meditation? Being present, sleeping better, being more relaxed. What would you say are the top benefits? And maybe that's where you'll grab people's attention and they'll say, look, I want some of the stuff on that list, and maybe that'll
Yeah.
get them started.
Well, you know what? These are some of the main things for me. Relaxation is huge because, I remember in certain circumstances. I'll give you an example. I used to be, back in my heydays or whatever, I used to be a big road rager. Okay? I was a big road rager. I was even known to maybe drag a person or two out of the window of their vehicle. I was a real road rager. Okay? Now, after I began meditation, um, it made me realize how stupid. How I would laugh at my old self for allowing people to upset me, right? So meditation, one of the main things of meditation is for your health, of course, right? It just completely balances your health, totally. It helps even in detoxifying your body and everything else. So the health is the main thing, but the ability to not allow outside people or circumstances to perturb your reality is priceless. Things that I would see people doing or what have you, that would used to burn me inside, right? Just get me so upset. And for what? What is it going to do, right? It's not going to do anything. It's not going to accomplish anything. Um, Being able to see something like that used to just get me so pissed off, and see it, observe it, and detach from any kind of feelings or emotion is key. And that what I would say would be the number two thing. Number one, health. Number two is controlling your emotions like that. mastering your emotions, I should say. Controlling is a bad word, but mastering your emotions is key. It's just it should be it should be added as a fifth, sixth element. It's just it brings so much into your life, and I've noticed it where, like I said, if you're a road rager, or if you see things and you're always getting yourself worked up about, and you know what, you meditate for a few weeks, 21 days, and you're gonna laugh at yourself for when how you used to do that, because it just seems to eliminate um, the vibration that houses, that grows frustration or anger. It seems to just put you on a different vibration, where anger and all of these other, low vibrations, they can't come up to. They're too low. They can't even come up and match where you're at. So you bring yourself out of being even able to be upset about things that really deep down you shouldn't be upset about it. So
So when we hear, oh, you can be calm, you can be relaxed, that's, part of you thinks, oh, that sounds nice. Like that would be nice. But it goes way deeper than that, because stress is one of the worst things that you can have on your body. Stress leads to disease and dysfunctions and all these things. Like stress can kill you. So it's not just that it sounds nice or it's cute to be relaxed and calm. It's hard to be in a stressful state if you're calm and you're relaxed. So that could actually save your life and save you from a lot of bad things down the road.
100%. And I have seen my health. Like, it's my birthday on Monday coming, and I'm going to be 47. Okay, and I really believe, I feel like I'm 25, Joel. Honestly, I do. I feel like I'm 47 in a 25-year-old man's body. I feel amazing. I feel incredibly healthy. And like you said, there's so much, illness and disease. What is a disease? It's dis-ease. It's your body not at ease. So put the two and two together, and the four that you come up with is that if disease is your body not in ease, and meditation eases your body, I don't even think I have to finish my sentence right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, Wayne, you'll be proud of me because last year, so I had no meditation experience at all, period. And last year, I went and did a 2-day silent meditation retreat. I went from zero meditation in my entire life to 36 hours of meditation in a 48-hour period. Was it easy, Wayne? No, it was not easy. But here are my two big takeaways. Like, it was a life-changing experience. And here are my two biggest takeaways. Number one, I realize that myself alone in a room is enough. That just me as a human being alone is enough. Not the accolades and the car and the job and all these things, but just in the 48-hour period, there was just me. There was just me. There was nothing else. And that I was enough. So that was a big thing. The other thing was, I realized that time is relative. So we would do different meditations, and some of them you would set a timer for, I don't know, 10 minutes or 15 minutes just to try the different practices. And there were times where, I could swear that I had been in meditation for an hour or two, and then the 15-minute alarm goes off. And on the other end of it, so that, I it seems like a short period of time, and it's been a long period of time. Or, if you're with someone and you're having a great time, time flies. So to me, it was that time is relative. And also, we're so busy all the time, and it seems like there's never enough time in the day to do everything you need. But then when you have nothing but time for 18 hours that day, you don't have anything scheduled, it's just meditation. It felt like every day was a week's worth of time. So, those were the big things for me, that I alone am enough, and that time is relative. There is enough time in the day if you're not just jam packing everything all day long. If you take a second, meditate, get in a zone, in a space, and then, organize your day with intention, of what actually needs to be done, what will move my life forward, what is actually going towards my goals, what do I not have to do at all that I'm just doing because I feel like I have to do it. So those were my breakthroughs. And the biggest challenge was, okay, well, that was in a room with no distractions. Then how do you take that meditation and bring it back to a chaotic life that you have outside of those four walls? And it's keeping that going day after day. So I don't know if you have any comments on my experience.
I've got one word for all of what you just said there. And I get it. It's, Michel Pascal talks about this all the time too. It's very important to be able to meditate in any and all circumstances, right? And I've got one word for you: breath work. It doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing. You could be at work, you could be on the bus, you could be in a cab, you could be in a car, you could be driving. It doesn't matter. If you are focused on your breath, and just especially when you feel yourself getting upset or caught into the hustle, bustle, whatever, awareness, presence is key to pick it up, to realize it, to become aware of it, that you're feeling it, acknowledging it, and then smiling. That's my favorite thing. I always say, don't forget to smile, because when you smile, it feels, it just uplifts your whole spirit, right? And those all around you as well. So just stop, catch yourself being present in your emotions, feeling it. Just breathing, again, however you feel comfortable, but just being mindful of your breath and making sure that you're breathing nice, deep breaths. And because, a lot of different problems and situations occur health-wise as well from the short breath. And, we don't even talk about that a lot. So, but that would be my, one word to explain what to do when you're out there in situations like that, Joel, is to just revert to your breath work, and just make sure that your posture is good and you're breathing nice, full, deep breaths, and you're going to feel a difference instantly within 10 seconds, 100%.
That's good advice. I'm gonna take your advice and implement that into my day to day. We've been talking about your company, Echo Movement, all the amazing things that you're doing. Looking back at the years that you've been doing Echo Movement, is there a favorite moment that stands out between the meditation or the cleaning up of the environment, the events? Is there anything that just means a lot to you, brings a smile to your face when you think about it?
Yeah, and you know what? There's two things that are tied for that position. And when I'm out there cleaning the planet, and I see other people, and this is why we do it, I tell you, and I see other people see us doing this, and you can see the reaction. So many different people, you're going to get so many different reactions, but ultimately, it always comes down to gratitude and awareness of, like, wow, I could do that too. Like when I see people, thanking us for cleaning the planet, and when I see an area that was just filled with litter, and I see it completely clean and looking beautiful, whew, that's a big one right there. Okay, which is tied with when I can, because Armin Shaffi, Armin Shaffi, the great Armin Shaffi, he was on my show one day, and he asked me afterwards, he's like, Wayne, why do you do this? Why do you shoot these videos? Why do you do this show? I thought about it for a moment, and I knew instantly what it was. And if I can get one person to watch a show on Monday night that will look at meditation and say, you know what, let me try this. Let me give it a shot. That is to get somebody to meditate, because I know that just helped shift their entire life and the lives of everyone they come in contact with. So basically, with those two being the tie, just making a positive difference. That just, for some reason, just cranks me up. I love getting out there and making a difference, especially when it comes to humanity, all life here on the planet and the planet, because we're all together, we're all one, and we need to correct stuff, and I think we're on the road to get these things.
Where can our listeners find you online, you and Echo Movement, if they want to stay in touch, if they want to reach out to you with questions, if they want to be a part of the Monday night meditation, if they want to go out and help with the mission to clean up the environment, maybe you want to send out a challenge to everyone that's listening, where do they reach out to you?
Amazing. Thank you, brother. Well, you can always go to www.echomovement.ca. And also Facebook. We have the Facebook group page, which is Echo Movement. And we also have the Echo Movement page, Facebook page. And that is the Echo Movement. We're on Instagram at Echo_Movement55. And you can always reach me through email at echomovement1@gmail.com. And again, just Monday nights, we're live on Facebook at Echo Movement, the group page. And you can see us there 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yes, that's where you can reach us. We are all over the place. And I challenge you to the nicest piece of weather that you see after watching this video or listening to this podcast. I challenge you to go out in your neighborhood and clean up any litter on your street, in your block, at your park, or whatever, and do it with a big smile on your face, knowing that you are a part, you are one in everyone, who are all going to come together and shift to a harmonious living.
Amazing. So as we wrap up the episode today, I have two final questions. So the first question is, surprisingly, we're coming in on the halfway mark of the year. It seems to have just kind of flown by. What is your vision for the rest of 2020? And have you set any personal goals that get you out of bed excited in the morning moving forward?
Yes, I do. And right now, it's the two things. It always comes back to the two pillars of Echo Movement. It's the cleanups. I would want to see the entire planet just coming together, not only cleaning the planet, but also coming up with different ideas, inventions, strategies to keep it clean always. And I would absolutely love to see, because COVID. Another thing COVID did was stop all wars that were going on at the moment, right? So with COVID doing that, seeing that, hey, you know what, the Earth can run without war. Can happen. It's all good. We should move the military from the military type stuff into becoming the environmental military, which they can go out and police all the corporations and all these different places, factories, companies, whatever, who are polluting the earth, and keep everybody in check, and to help clean the mess. So there would be something for the military to do if we cut out all the war. Don't worry, guys. They can help clean the planet. So that is a big, huge thing, the cleanups. And of course, brother, bringing everybody together as one, all for one, one for all. And I believe an amazing way to do that is to collectively get together, same time every day, and do collective, no matter where you're at on the planet, all come together at the same time and do collective prayer meditations, all at the same time, putting out the same energy, same vibration, same love, same intention, so it can echo back and manifest here.
So to your point about, the wars have stopped during COVID, there's been some crazy stats. Like I think it's in Miami for the first time in, I don't know, 40 years, there hasn't been a single murder in Miami in the last 6 weeks. So my numbers are probably a little bit off for the time frame and how, but it's, there's some good that's come of this, and we're going to move forward as a better crew, for sure.
Look at the planet right now. The planet is healing itself right now. The waters in Venice have cleared. There's dolphins swimming up there now. All of the animals are coming back in and and saying, wow, it's so nice. What's going on? Let me check this out. Like, it's just the whole earth is cleaning itself. Water, the air, everything. So, there again lies one of the blessings.
So, final question. What advice would you give your younger self with all the experience, with all the training, with all the knowledge you've gained over the last few years, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self to kind of steer in the right direction?
Oh, well, one piece of advice I would give, the first thing that comes into my mind right now is presence. They don't call it presence for nothing, because it is a present. It is a gift. Be present to your thoughts. Be present to your emotions. Think and feel. Am I happy? Is this what I want to do with my whole life? What do I want to accomplish here? These are questions that you want to ask yourself. And if you don't have any answers, it's okay. Just remember, you may be doing something that is so far from what you really want if you're not present. So that's my one main piece of advice, is to just take a deep breath, be present in your feelings, your emotions, and start asking yourself what it is you really want to do here. Because you are not here by accident. You are not here just because of the luck of the draw. Okay? You are here for a divine purpose. Whatever that may be. Go within, become present to yourself, quiet your mind, ask and you shall receive, and the divine always gives you the answers.
That is a great final piece of advice from Mr. Wayne Mouland of Echo Movement. So thank you, everyone, for joining us here today on the podcast. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you had all your meditation questions answered, and you can find a little bit of time every day to be present and in the moment. So, Wayne, thank you for being on the call. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. Thank you for having me,
brother. And our Savior is always in our behavior. And if you see somebody who needs a hand, remember, you've got two, and keep them clean.
Amazing. Take care, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace, brother. Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I'd love to hear from you guys. My goal is to grow this podcast organically, where you're giving me feedback on topics you'd like me to cover and guests you'd like me to interview. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Joel Martin Mastery. Joel is Joel, and on Twitter at Joel Mastery. So I am done. I am complete. I approve this message, and I'll see you on the next episode.